The millionaire cowboy said, "You deserve better," after fixing her roof and her heart. The hot wind moved slowly across the dry land of Willow Creek. Dust rose in the air and settled again on everything it touched. At the end of a quiet road stood a small old house. Its paint was fading, and the roof looked weak. Inside the house, Clara Hayes stood on a wooden chair. She held a hammer in one hand and tried to fix a loose piece of wood above her head. A small bucket sat on the floor under a steady drip of water. Drip, drip, drip. Clara sighed and wiped her forehead. She was tired, but she did not stop. She had learned long ago that no one was coming to help her. The roof had been leaking for weeks. Every time it rained, things got worse, but fixing it alone was not easy. Just then, she heard the sound of a car engine outside. Clara froze. No one ever came this far unless they had a reason. She slowly climbed down from the chair and walked to the door. When she stepped outside, she saw a black truck parked near her gate. It was clean and shiny, very different from everything around her. The door of the truck opened. A man stepped out. He was tall and strong, wearing a simple shirt, jeans, and boots. A cowboy hat shaded his face, but his calm eyes moved carefully around the place, noticing every detail. His name was Ethan Cole. He was known in many towns as a successful rancher and businessman. People said he owned a lot of land now, but he was not someone who talked much about himself. Clara did not know him yet. The man walked toward her slowly and stopped near the door. "Hello," he said in a calm voice. Clara crossed her arms. "Can I help you?" Ethan looked up at the roof, then at the bucket inside, and then back at her. "You fixing that yourself?" he asked. Clara's face showed a little frustration. "I'm trying." There was a short silence. Then Ethan gave a small smile. "Looks like it needs more than trying." Clara did not smile back. "Well, it's what I've got." Ethan nodded slightly. Then he stepped inside the house, looking up at the damaged ceiling. "You're Clara Hayes, right?" he asked. She was surprised. "Yes. How do you know my name?" "I recently bought land near this place," he said. "I've been checking records." Clara's heart dropped a little. She understood what that could mean. "Oh," she said quietly. She looked down for a moment, then spoke again. "If this is about the land, I just need some time. I'll figure things out." Ethan didn't answer right away. He reached up and gently pressed part of the ceiling. A small crack opened, and a few drops of water fell down. "This isn't just about time," he said. "Your roof is not safe." Clara looked away. "I'll fix it." Ethan turned and looked at her closely. He noticed the tired look in her eyes. He noticed how she stood strong, even when things were clearly hard for her. "You shouldn't have to do all this alone," he said. Clara shook her head. "I don't have anyone else." Those words were simple, but they carried a lot of truth. Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he stepped outside and walked back to his truck. Clara stood there, confused. Was he leaving? A few seconds later, he came back. But this time, he was carrying tools. A ladder, some wood, nails, and a toolbox. He placed them near the house. Clara frowned. "What are you doing?" Ethan looked at her and said, "Fixing your roof." "I didn't ask for help," she replied quickly. "I know," he said calmly. He set up the ladder and started working like he had done it many times before. He moved with confidence and skill. Clara watched him for a moment, unsure what to say. "Why are you doing this?" she finally asked. Ethan paused for a second and looked down at her. "Because you deserve better," he said simply. The words were quiet, but they felt strong. Clara did not respond. Something inside her felt different. She wasn't used to someone helping without asking for anything in return. She slowly stepped back and sat on the old chair, watching him work. For the first time in a long while, she did not feel completely alone. Outside, the wind continued to blow across the land. But inside the small house, something had started to change. The sun was slowly going down, and the sky turned soft orange. Ethan was still on the roof, fixing the broken parts with care. Clara sat quietly outside, watching him work. She did not understand why he stayed. Most people would have left by now. Most people didn't care enough to help a stranger like this. But Ethan was still there. After some time, he climbed down the ladder and wiped his hands. "That should hold for now," he said. "I'll come back tomorrow and finish the rest." Clara stood up slowly. "You don't have to come back." Ethan looked at her. "I know." There was a pause between them. "Then why will you?" she asked softly. Ethan didn't answer right away. He looked at the house, then at the land around it. Finally, he said, Because I don't like leaving things unfinished. Clara wasn't sure if he was talking about the roof or something else. She nodded slightly. Thank you. It was not easy for her to say those words. She was not used to depending on anyone. Ethan gave a small nod and started putting his tools back into the truck. As he was about to leave, Clara spoke again. Wait. He stopped and turned. Do you want some tea? She asked. It's not much, but… Ethan looked at her for a moment, then said, Yeah, that sounds nice. Inside the house, things felt a little different now. The air was still warm, but it felt calmer. Clara poured tea into 2 simple cups and placed them on the table. They sat across from each other. For a few minutes, there was only silence. Then Ethan spoke. You've been here long? Clara nodded. My whole life. Ethan looked around again. It's a quiet place. It used to feel better, she said. Before… She stopped talking. Ethan did not push her to continue. He just waited. After a moment, Clara took a deep breath. Before my father passed away, she finished. I'm sorry, Ethan said gently. Clara gave a small nod. He took care of everything. The house, the land, me. She looked down at her cup. After he was gone, it all became my responsibility. That's a lot for one person, Ethan said. Clara gave a small, tired smile. I didn't really have a choice. Ethan understood that feeling more than she knew. He leaned back slightly. I didn't grow up with much either, he said. My family worked on a small ranch. It was hard, but we made it work. Clara looked up at him, surprised. Then how did you… she asked, not finishing her sentence. Ethan smiled a little. Got lucky, worked hard, made some good decisions, and some bad ones too. Clara felt curious, but she didn't ask more. For the first time, the silence between them felt comfortable. After a while, Ethan stood up. I should go. I'll be back early tomorrow. Clara walked him to the door. You really don't have to keep helping, she said again. Ethan stopped near the truck and looked at her. Maybe not, he said, but I want to. She didn't argue this time. The truck started, and soon he was gone. That night, Clara lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. No water dripped anymore. The quiet felt different now, not empty, but calm. She closed her eyes slowly, thinking about the strange man who came out of nowhere and changed her day. The next morning, Clara woke up early. She stepped outside and saw Ethan already there. He had arrived before sunrise. You're early, she said. So are you, he replied. For the next few hours, Ethan worked on the roof while Clara stayed nearby. This time, she didn't just watch. She helped. She held tools, passed nails, and even climbed the ladder once, even though she was a little nervous. Ethan noticed. Careful, he said. Clara smiled slightly. I'm learning. By noon, the roof looked strong and clean. Ethan climbed down and looked at his work. That should last a long time. Clara looked up at the roof, then back at him. I don't know how to thank you. Ethan shook his head. You don't have to. But Clara stepped closer. No. I do. She paused, then said softly, Not just for the roof. Ethan understood what she meant. Sometimes, help was not just about fixing things. Sometimes, it was about showing someone they were not alone. Ethan looked at her and said quietly, You've been carrying a lot by yourself. Clara didn't reply, but her eyes said enough. For the first time in a long while, she felt like someone truly saw her. The wind moved gently across the land again. But this time, Clara stood a little stronger, and Ethan didn't feel like a stranger anymore. The days passed quietly in Willow Creek, but something had changed. Clara no longer woke up feeling alone. Every morning, Ethan came by. Sometimes he brought tools, sometimes supplies, and sometimes just himself. The roof was already fixed, but he still found small things to improve around the house. A broken fence, a loose step, a weak door hinge. Clara noticed everything. You've done enough, she said one afternoon as he worked on the fence. Ethan shook his head. There's always something that can be better. Clara watched him for a moment. You don't have to keep finding reasons to stay. Ethan paused. For the first time, he didn't have an easy answer. I'm not finding reasons, he said quietly. I just don't mind being here. Clara felt her heart beat a little faster, but she looked away. That evening, they sat outside as the sun went down. The sky turned pink and gold, and the air felt cooler. Clara held a cup of tea in her hands. You don't seem like someone who stays in one place, she said. Ethan gave a small smile. I usually don't. Then why are you here? She asked. This time he didn't look away. Because of you, he said. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Clara froze for a second. She wasn't expecting that. You don't even know me, she said softly. I know enough, Ethan replied. I know you're strong. I know you don't give up. And I know you've been doing everything alone for too long. Clara looked down at her hands. No one had ever said those things to her before. It's just life, she said quietly. It shouldn't have to be that hard, Ethan said. There was silence between them again, but this time it felt deeper. Clara took a slow breath. People leave, she said. That's how it always goes. Ethan understood what she meant. Not everyone, he said. Clara shook her head slightly. You will. Ethan didn't respond right away, because part of her was right. He had spent years moving from place to place, never staying long enough to build anything real. It was easier that way. No ties, no pain, but this place and this woman felt different. I don't know, he admitted. Clara looked at him, surprised by his honesty. That's the truth, he continued. I've never been good at staying, but I've also never had a reason to. Clara's chest tightened. And now? She asked. Ethan looked at her, his expression serious but calm. Now I do. The wind moved softly around them, carrying the quiet moment forward. Clara felt something change inside her, something she had been holding back for a long time. Hope, but hope also scared her. What if it doesn't last? She asked. Ethan leaned forward slightly. Then at least it was real while it did. Clara didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. The next morning felt different. There was a soft tension in the air, something unspoken between them. Ethan arrived as usual, but this time he didn't bring tools. Where are your supplies? Clara asked. He smiled a little. Thought we could take a break today. Clara raised an eyebrow. You? Taking a break? Don't sound so surprised, he said. For a moment, they just stood there. Then Ethan said, Come on. Where? She asked. You'll see. Clara hesitated, but then she nodded. They got into the truck, and Ethan drove them out of Willow Creek. The road stretched long and quiet, surrounded by open land. After some time, he stopped near a hill. Come on, he said again. They walked up together. When they reached the top, Clara stopped. The view was beautiful. The land stretched far and wide, glowing under the morning sun. It was peaceful and open, like the world had no limits. Clara smiled without realizing it. It's beautiful, she said. Ethan watched her, not the view. Yeah, he said quietly. They stood there for a while. No rush, no pressure. Just silence and space. I used to come here when I needed to think, Ethan said. When things felt too heavy. Clara nodded. I understand that. Ethan took a deep breath. I've been thinking a lot lately. About what? She asked. He looked at her. About staying. Clara's heart skipped. She didn't speak. Ethan continued. About building something instead of just passing through. Clara felt both happy and afraid at the same time. That's a big change, she said. Ethan nodded. Yeah, it is. There was a pause. Then he added softly, but some things are worth changing for. Clara looked at him, her eyes searching for something real. And she saw it. For the first time, she believed him. But deep inside, one question still remained. Would he really stay? Or was this just another moment that would pass? The wind blew gently across the hill. And both of them stood there, knowing something important was about to change. The days after their visit to the hill felt quiet, but full of meaning. Clara tried to act normal, but her thoughts kept returning to Ethan's words. I've been thinking about staying. She wanted to believe him, but a small part of her was still afraid. People had made promises before, and left. Ethan still came every day, just like before. But now, things felt deeper between them. Their conversations were longer. Their silence was softer. One afternoon, Clara was fixing a small table inside the house when she heard the sound of Ethan's truck. She stepped outside, but something felt different. Ethan stood near his truck, not moving. He looked serious. Clara's heart dropped a little. What's wrong? She asked. Ethan took a breath. I need to talk to you. Clara felt a sudden fear, but she nodded. Okay. They stood facing each other, the quiet land around them holding the moment still. I got an offer, Ethan said. Clara didn't say anything. A big one, he continued. A chance to expand my business, new land, new opportunities. Clara forced a small smile. That sounds good, but her voice was not strong. It is, Ethan said. It's everything I worked for. There was a pause. Clara looked down at the ground. So, you're leaving. It wasn't really a question. Ethan stepped closer. I haven't decided yet. Clara looked up at him. You don't need to explain. This is your life. Ethan shook his head. No, this matters. Clara felt her chest tighten. Things like this don't wait, Ethan. You should go. Her words were calm, but her eyes were not. Ethan could see the truth she was trying to hide. I don't want to make the same mistake again, he said. Clara frowned slightly. What mistake? Choosing work over something real, he said quietly. Clara looked at him, her heart beating faster. What we have here, it's real, Ethan continued. And I don't want to lose that. Clara stepped back slightly. What if it doesn't last? She asked again, her voice soft but full of emotion. Ethan didn't look away this time. Then we face it together, he said. Not alone. Clara's eyes filled with quiet emotion. For so long, she had been strong by herself. She had learned not to depend on anyone. But now, someone was asking to stay, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. I don't want to hold you back, she said. Ethan smiled gently. You're not holding me back. You're giving me a reason to stay. The wind moved softly around them. Clara took a slow breath. Why? She asked. Why me? Ethan stepped closer, his voice calm and steady. Because you remind me what matters, he said. Not money, not land, not success. He paused, then said the words that changed everything. You deserve better, Clara. She felt those words deeply. Better than doing everything alone, he continued. Better than carrying the world by yourself. And better than people who leave. A tear slipped down her cheek, but she didn't hide it. For the first time, she didn't feel weak for feeling something. She felt understood. Ethan reached out slowly, not forcing anything. Clara didn't step away. She let him hold her hand. I'm not perfect, Ethan said. I don't have all the answers. But I know one thing. He looked directly at her. I want to stay. Clara's heart felt full and light at the same time. Are you sure? She asked softly. Ethan nodded. For the first time in my life, I am. There was no rush, no pressure, just truth. Clara smiled through her tears. Then stay, she said. Weeks passed. The house felt different now, stronger, warmer. Ethan didn't just fix the roof. He helped rebuild parts of the house. But more than that, he became part of Clara's life. And Clara, she changed too. She laughed more. She rested more. She didn't carry everything alone anymore. One evening, they stood outside together, watching the sunset. The same sky, the same land. But everything felt new. Clara looked at Ethan. You really stayed. Ethan smiled. Told you I would. She nodded, then said softly, I'm glad you did. Ethan looked at her, his eyes calm and sure. Me too. The wind moved gently across Willow Creek, carrying away the past and making space for something new. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And sometimes, that was more than enough.